Hello. So we're going to talk a little bit more about order of operations and take some notes. To start off, just like Mr. Math Antics was saying, we are going to solve mathematical expressions, so numerical expressions, which are just expressions that contain numbers and operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponents. We also use things like parentheses in expressions. And in order to evaluate or solve those problems, we need to use a set of rules. We need to solve the problem in a certain order. So you may be familiar with the order of operations and refer to it as PEMDAS or GEMS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So I'm going to show you two images, and you may choose one or the other to record down in your notebook. You will notice that they are both very, very similar. They follow the same guidelines, they follow the same steps. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to remember one method over the other. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at this image of PEMDAS. And it tells us to do parentheses first, solve our exponents, which you practiced last week, solve any multiplication or division from left to right, solve any subtraction and addition also from left to right. So if you'd like to record this image in your notebook, go ahead and pause the video because I'm going to show you another example. Another way to remember the order of operations is GEMS. Okay, this one is something that kind of just restarts my brain when thinking about middle school math and moving forward into high school, because I like the phrase grouping symbols for G. You'll start to use brackets and braces a lot more in the future. So I like the idea of resetting my brain that not just parentheses are applied in this step. So I have grouping symbols first. I solve all of my exponents. And then I solve multiplication and division still from left to right. And I solve subtraction and addition still from left to right. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. So we talked about a numerical expression, which is a mathematical statement using numbers and operations. And we talked a little bit about the order of operations. So one thing to keep in mind moving forward is even if it's not in the instructions or the directions, you will always solve any mathematical problem in the future using the order of operations. So as we work on this first example, which is 12 minus 2 times 4, I'm going to ask you to write down your preferred method of GEMS or PEMDAS. Okay? I'm going to write both for students that wish to use one or the other. You will notice I'm going to put the M and the D on the same line and the A and the S on the same line. Now, first I need to solve this problem by doing grouping symbols or parentheses. I'm going to look at my problem and I don't see either of those. So I'm going to check it off my list. Now I need to solve exponents, and I don't see any exponents in this problem, so I'm going to check that off my list. Then I look for multiplication or division, and I'm going to solve that from left to right. I notice that I have a multiplication problem, so I'm going to underline the two factors with the operation symbol and work from the top down. So 2 times 4 is 8, and it's almost like those numbers are on a shelf, and the rest of the problem is going to fall down. So now I have 12 times 8. I've done both multiplication and division from left to right. Now I have subtraction or addition also from left to right. This is my last step, so all I need to do is underline that. I end up with the answer of 4, and I'm going to circle or highlight my answer. So here's my next example. You can see that I set up my example by writing it down. 30 divided by the quantity, 7 plus 2 to the third power times 6. And then I've also set up using my acronyms to help me solve this problem. Now this is a pretty complex one. So again, I'm just going to encourage you to show your work step by step, because even though you probably know all these little components and how to solve them, the challenge with the order of operations is putting it all together. Okay, so let's go ahead and record this in your notes. Pause the video if you need to. And I'm going to go ahead and start by doing grouping symbols or parentheses. So I'm going to look within my grouping symbols and parentheses And I noticed that I don't know if I do exponents first or addition first. So I'm going to look at my list and I'm going to say, I do exponents before I do addition. So I am going to solve on the side 2 times 2 times 2. And I am going to write this out because sometimes we can think really quickly and say, oh, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 6. When actually it's not. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So now I have 7 plus 8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rewrite this problem because I'd like to do one step at a time. Now I still need to do those parentheses. So I'm going to add 7 plus 8, which is 15, and let the rest of the problem fall down. So now I've gotten rid of my grouping symbols or parentheses. Now I did do the exponents that were already included because those were within my parentheses. If I had exponents at this point, I would do those next. Now I'm going to solve multiplication or division from left to right. I see that division comes first, so I'm going to take the dividend and the divisor, underline that with the symbol, and when I think about 30 divided by 15, I get 2, and let the rest of the problem fall down. Remember, I'm doing one step at a time so I don't make any small math errors. And now I still have to do my multiplication, which is 12. For this problem, I did not have any subtraction or addition, and so I didn't need to solve anything else. Okay? Please make sure you have this in your notebook, and thanks for working hard.